alcohol reliance and drinking alcohol is really a symptom. It's a band-aid over a shotgun wound that lies much, much deeper inside. And in the same way, our relationship problems are also symptoms too. And they point to deeper patterns within us. And if we haven't done the work on ourselves, and what I mean by work is reading literature about self-help, self-development, taking courses, doing coaching, going on retreats, that inner work. If we haven't done that work, or we haven't been raised by people who had done theirs when they were raising us as children, then we are far more likely to carry an anxious or avoidant attachment style into adulthood rather than a secure one. Okay? And that means that when we meet somebody new, we're not only bumping into their insecure patterns, but we're also dragging along our own. Sheryl Sandberg wrote, "When looking for a life partner, my advice to women is to date them all. The bad boys, the cool boys, the commitment phobic boys, the crazy boys, but do not marry them." Why? Because most of us don't marry for love. We marry to escape loneliness. And when the cracks show, alcohol becomes a quick fix that keeps us trapped in relationships that don't serve us. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 1000 Day Sober podcast. I am, of course, your host, Davy. I am not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I am someone who lives a self-led life, alcohol-free as fuck, and I spend every waking moment of that life helping other people do the same, like right now. Hello, brothers and sisters in the world. Just a quickie, some housekeeping before we get on to today's episode. And that is, you may have noticed that I have stopped dropping daily podcast episodes. Why is that? Well, we went 162 days. 162 days. So proud of that, of doing daily podcasts. But what I found in this little experiment is it was absolutely consuming my life. And if you are stressing out, if you're anxious, if you're overwhelmed because you've got to get your podcast done, and that is taking the place of spending time with your daughter or your son or your wife or looking after your health, things are going a little bit crazy there. So for now, I am taking a step back. I'm doing less podcasts, but that doesn't mean the value is going to drop, okay? So yeah, we're not going to do every day, but we're still going to get them out there as often as we can. I am running a quest at the moment at Strive. Well, I'm doing it myself, but I'm going to roll it out on Strive, called the Law of Ease, right? Where I'm limiting my Strive work to 3 hours a day. 3 hours a day. So I can spend the rest of my life healing, loving, doing past work with myself, just to be a better human being, okay? So that is why we're doing less podcasts. But on to today's episode, right? And today is a continuation of our book highlight series. And today's quote comes from this book. It's Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In, Women, Work, and the Will to Lead. And I really like it. I'm not a woman, obviously, but I really like the book because I am surrounded by women. So getting to understand them more really, really helps. And it's a book that I would like to give to my daughter to read as well. She's 9 years of age. I think she could get a lot out of it. And I'm also pulling some parallels out of the book, which I'll share with you at a later date, that kind of connect to our life here at Strive of being alcohol-free as fuck and living a self-led life. But today, the quote that I want to talk about is all about relationships. So here's that quote again. When looking for a life partner, my advice to women is date them all. The bad boys, the cool boys, the commitment phobic boys, the crazy boys, but do not marry them. Now, she's talking to women about dating boys. You could easily turn that quote around and say my advice to men is date all of them. The bad girls, the cool girls, the commitment phobic girls, the crazy girls, but do not marry them. And that is how I want you to think about this today if you are a man listening to this, okay? So because it's the advice it's not gender specific. Now, it is lighthearted advice, but it points to something really serious, okay? And too often, we commit to a person in a relationship before we really understand who we are or we really understand the people that we're with. And this is where the work of Strive comes in for me, because nobody ever has an alcohol problem per se. Alcohol reliance and drinking alcohol is really a symptom. It's a band-aid over a shotgun wound that lies much, much deeper inside. And in the same way, our relationship problems are also symptoms too. And they point to deeper patterns within us. And if we haven't done the work on ourselves, and what I mean by work is reading literature about self-help, self-development, taking courses, doing coaching, going on retreats, that inner work. If we haven't done that work, or we haven't been raised by people who had done theirs when they were raising us as children, then we are far more likely to carry an anxious or avoidant attachment style into adulthood rather than a secure one. Okay. And that means that when we meet somebody new, we're not only bumping into their insecure patterns, but we're also dragging along our own. And in other words, both of us in the relationship are more often below the line than we are above the line. We're more likely to be in parts energy than we are to be in self energy. And I want to give you an example and why this quote really piqued my interest. And it's because somebody who I love very, very dearly, who is in their mid-20s, they're living in this life right now. They're caught in a relationship that is vibrant, it is fun, it is super sexy, it is exciting, it is passionate, right? But it's also chaotic. It's a lot of misunderstanding. It's a lot of pain, a lot of conflict, a lot of fighting. And that push-pull, the joy and the turmoil, that dynamic, it feels intoxicating in the moment. But I see it as an outsider as a red flag. Because in the early days, we're not really meeting the whole person, right? When you get into a relationship with someone, for the first couple of months, you're not meeting everything about them. Usually what happens is you're meeting a part of them whose job is to keep them safe. And the way that it usually keeps them safe in the beginning of a relationship is to charm the pants off you, right? It's to show you their better side, their good side, that they got their shit together, that they love you, they listen to you, that they have a secure attachment style. And over time, as trust builds and you get deeper into the relationship, other parts start to emerge. Protector parts, exile parts that carry pain, shame, inner child wounding. And now suddenly the rubber meets a road. Can we love the whole of them? Now, in a utopian world, we do the work first, right? We would learn to recognize and love our own parts and then move towards secure attachment and then choose a partner who's done the same. That's in an ideal world. But that's not how most of us operate. Most of us operate from parts that are terrified of loneliness, that are desperate for approval, that rush into relationships, even ones that hurt. And that's why I think Sheryl Sandberg's advice matters. It's not really about dating lots of people. It's about giving yourself the space to discover, are you really ready to build something from self, or are your parts just chasing safety? Now we're going to take a short break. I'm going to get this frog out of my throat. And I want you to listen or reflect on this point, right? Do you know what your attachment style is? Are you anxious, avoidant, secure? Have you done the work to prepare yourself for a relationship? Or did you just stumble into one because your parts didn't want to be alone? Have a think about that during the break and we'll be right back, okay? If you're listening to this and realizing that your relationship feels chaotic, that you reach in for alcohol to take the edge off, that's exactly why I created Strive Foundations. Because here's the truth, alcohol is never the real problem. It's a symptom, the band-aid. And if you're stuck in cycles of conflict, loneliness, or attachment patterns that lead you feeling anxious or avoidant, alcohol will keep showing up as a quick fix. Strive Foundations is your first step out of that cycle. 20 powerful workshops where you will learn how to understand your parts, see the truth of why you drink, and start building a self-led life. You don't have to be ready to quit forever. You just have to be curious enough to look underneath the surface. So if you're tired of numbing pain, whether it's in your relationship, your work, or just being alone, come and join us. And you can start today at thestrivemethod.com/foundations. Now back to the show. Welcome back to the 1000 Days Sober podcast, where we are talking about Sheryl Sandberg's beautiful quote: when looking for a life partner, my advice to women is to date all of them, the bad boys, the cool boys, the commitment phobic boys, the crazy boys, but do us a favor, do not marry any of them. Okay? So here's what I really want to draw your attention to. So many people in their early 20s find themselves locked into relationships that drain them. So instead of being out there, having fun, dating, experimenting, learning about themselves, learning about other people, culture, just having a laugh, they're battling. They're fighting the same fights over and over again, confusing chaos for passion and mistaking turmoil for love. Why? Because it's not their self that chose the relationship. It was their parts. Parts that are terrified of being alone, of losing approval because I don't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and what will people think about me because I'm the odd one out. And those parts grab hold of anyone who makes the noise quiet down. And then those parts tell you, this is love, this is safety, don't let go. And once you've invested time into the relationship, 5, 6, 7, 8 months, what happens then, even years maybe, right? Those same parts whisper the sunk cost fallacy. They say to you, but you've come this far. You can't leave now. And what I said to this person that I love dearly in their mid-20s, right, who's been in this relationship now like 8, 9 months, what I've said to them is, this is actually the time when you do get to meet them. Like the whole 8, 9 months has been your opportunity to get to know all different parts of this person. And now you can make a decision whether it's worth investing more time or leave. It's not like, oh, we've gone 7, 8 months and now we have to stay in this relationship because we've invested so much time in it. No, it takes that long for them and you to trust each other, to not run away from each other when you share the worst parts of you, right? Really, really important. And what is really heartbreaking about this is it doesn't just happen to people in their early 20s. I see it all the time in my personal life and in Strive. People in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, still stuck in relationships that never ever fit in the first place. Like round holes and square pegs, right? They spent their entire lives bound to somebody that they don't truly connect with because their parts made the choice decades ago and they never found a way out. And how do you survive in a life like that? You drink. You drink to numb the shame of not leaving. You drink to paper over the absence of true connection. You drink to make tolerable what deep down you know isn't right. And if you're in one of these relationships and you don't drink, it's highly likely that the other person you're in a relationship with is drinking for those reasons. And this is why Sandberg's advice matters. This is why the work we're doing here at Strive matters. Because the question isn't just who are you dating? The real question is who inside you is doing the choosing. Okay, today's daily vow. Today I will not drink. Instead, I will choose connection that comes from self, not fear. Remember, you do not need alcohol to keep the wrong relationship alive. And you don't need to stay in the wrong relationship just to avoid being alone. If this episode resonated with you, please share the episode with someone who might need it. Rate and review the show so other people can find it. And if you're ready to start your journey, join the Strive Foundations, thestrivemethod.com/foundations. Okay, you ready for the sovereign vow? One hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Big deep breath. Repeat after me. I am a striver who is alcohol free as fuck. And I will not drink today because that is not what I do. And that is not who I am. Until tomorrow, much love everybody and strive on.